The boot prints weren't just fresh. They were wrong. Too deep. Too deliberate. Too large to belong to any backcountry hiker or forest ranger. Daniel crouched beside them, his instincts screaming. The gait was calculated. Someone had been watching, following. And then he spotted something that sealed it. A cigarette butt still warm to the touch, smoldering faintly, half buried in the snow. Whoever they were close. Daniel adjusted his gear, checking the cubs nestled beside the fire one last time, and followed the prints. Every step was silent, deliberate. The tracks led northwest, weaving through the trees, following the terrain with uncanny familiarity. Whoever this was knew the land. Within 20 minutes, he found it. A campsite, crudely made, hidden in a small grove behind a ridge. Camouflage tarp, heavy-duty gear, a snowmobile under a frost-covered sheet, and inside the tent, bear traps. Rusty steel jaws big enough to break bone. Syringes, vials labeled with tranquilizer compounds, rope, chains, and photos. Taped along the inner wall of the tent were zoomed-in shots of her, the mother bear. Grainy trail cam images showing her pregnant, weak, wandering alone. Notes scribbled in the margins. 2 cubs expected. Confirmed scar on left flank. Sell cubs separate. High bidder in Prague. Daniel's stomach turned. They'd been tracking her for weeks, maybe months. And now she was wounded, exhausted, and trapped in a cabin with 2 newborns. And they knew it. He ran. Faster than he had in years. Snow be damned. Ice and exhaustion forgotten. The fire of panic lit his veins, and he sprinted back to the ranger station, lungs burning. He slammed the cabin door shut, bolting it with a rusted metal beam and piling anything heavy he could find against it. Shelving, a busted table, crates. They were coming, and they weren't after him. They wanted her. They wanted the cubs. He turned to her, curled near the fire, her fur matted with blood but her head raised. Her ears twitched. Her nose sniffed. She knew. He crouched beside her, gently stroking her paw, whispering low. I saw them. I know who they are, and I swear, on everything, I won't let them touch your babies. She stared at him for a long moment. Her body trembled with pain, but in her eyes there was fire, and something else, recognition. That night the wind howled like it wanted to strip the roof off. The cubs whimpered softly in Daniel's arms, their tiny paws reaching for warmth. The bear shifted uneasily, letting out a weak growl deep in her throat. She sensed it before he did. They were near. Daniel sat with his back to the door, arms around the cubs. His voice was barely audible as he spoke to them. Words not just meant for them, but for something deep inside himself. I had a son, he whispered. His name was Evan. He didn't make it. The doctors said it was too fast, too complicated. They said I couldn't have done anything. The fire flickered. The bear watched him. I was holding him, and he was cold, just like this, so tiny. And I remember wishing, begging, that I could just warm him, just once, that maybe, if I held him close enough, he'd come back. His voice cracked. One of the cubs shifted in his coat, nuzzling against his heartbeat. Daniel wiped his eyes and let the silence take over. Outside, branches snapped. Boots crunched. The first bang on the door jolted them all. "Open up," a gruff voice barked. "We know you're in there. Don't be a fool. Those animals aren't yours." Daniel grabbed the flare gun, the last of his fuel-soaked cloth, and a backup canister of butane. He waited. "We've been tracking that sow for months. She's property, not wildlife. And those cubs, you don't want to know what they're worth." He said nothing. The second bang came louder, angrier. Then, the sound of someone trying to force the door, and that's when Daniel triggered it. A small firebomb, improvised from his survival kit and a can of Sterno, exploded just outside the front door, sending flames and smoke spiraling. The poachers cursed and stumbled back, coughing. Daniel gritted his teeth, cradling the cubs, heart hammering. "This isn't over," one shouted. "You're dead, old man. You hear me?" Then a sound that made Daniel freeze. The door groaned. A hand forced through a gap, prying it open. But before Daniel could react, she moved. The bear, broken and bleeding, surged forward with a roar that shook the beams of the cabin. Her paw slashed through the opening, connecting with flesh. A scream. Then a body hit the ground outside. The bear staggered, collapsing again, but her eyes burned with defiance. Daniel rushed to her side, stunned. She had protected them, with every ounce she had left. The chaos quieted. Footsteps retreated into the trees, leaving only wind and smoke. Daniel stood watch at the window, flare gun in hand, watching for signs of return. And then he saw him. One of the poachers, stumbling, bleeding from the shoulder, alone, disarmed. Daniel stepped outside cautiously, keeping the weapon aimed. "Wait," the man gasped, raising his hands. "I didn't know she escaped. I swear." "What are you talking about?" Daniel demanded. "She wasn't wild. That bear, she's a tag, used to be part of a breeding program overseas. Illegal, black market operation. Some idiot bought her, thought he could tame her. She mauled him and ran." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "She got out years ago. We tracked her to this region. Been trying to recapture her ever since. We weren't going to kill her, just sell her back. The cubs, they're pure. They'd fetch a fortune." Daniel stepped closer. "So you were going to trap her, chain her again, rip her cubs away." The poacher smirked bitterly. "That's how it works. You can't save everything, man." Daniel raised the flare gun, hand steady. "Get out." The man didn't argue. Back inside, Daniel sat beside the bear again. She wasn't wild-born. That explained everything. The way she'd looked at him, trusted him, reacted to his voice. She remembered people. But more importantly, she remembered pain, chains, cages, being ripped from freedom. And she had chosen not to hurt him, even when she had every reason to. She had chosen to protect, just like he had. That night, the fire burned low. The cubs slept soundly beside their mother, and Daniel sat beside them all, eyes open, watching the dark like a soldier guarding a battlefield. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but he knew one thing for sure. He wasn't leaving them, not now, not ever.